Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Megan, and on my channel Pennies and Salt, I talk about homeschooling, homemaking, gardening, food, all the things. Today I'm specifically going to be sharing a personal review of the curriculum, Language Lessons for a Living Education Level 1. Now, I want to preface this video by just driving home the fact that the beauty of homeschooling is finding a curriculum that works well for each of our children. So, my experience with Language Lessons for a Living Education may be different from yours or someone else's, and that's okay. I am going to share from our perspective and our experience a review, an honest review about this curriculum. I purchased this curriculum myself. Before we did this one, we actually completed the Foundations Phonics as well. And so we moved straight into this at the beginning of this school year. Now, I will go ahead and say we actually no longer use this curriculum. I will share why it did not exactly work for us, but again, it just did not work for my son. I know it works beautifully for other families. We actually use another level of this for one of my other children, and it works beautifully for him. And this is why we have to find what fits. Now, just so you know, I do have a full flip through of this curriculum. I will link it down below. I did it, I think, last year when I first ordered the curriculum, but we did not start it until this school year. So the curriculum comes like this. It is an open and go all-in-one. All of the notes that you will need as the teacher are written in the student pages. The other thing it comes with is the book Not Too Small at All, The Door to Salvation, and Charlie and Trike in the Grand Canyon Adventure. So that is what it comes with. Now, let's go ahead and get started with the pros and cons so that you can hear my review of this curriculum. So the first pro about this curriculum is something I already mentioned, is that it is very open and go, all in one, and it is not super teacher intensive. It is very easy to teach using this curriculum. I would classify that as a definite pro, especially if you are a large family mom like me. And I am actually teaching 3 different children to read right now. So having something that is more easy to teach and open and go is very appealing. The other thing that is really nice about this curriculum that I have actually really grown to appreciate is the fact that the reading in this, they use phonetic symbols over the top of different letters so that your student can early on be able to delineate between short sound, long sound, different things like that. I found that extremely helpful, especially early on when you are trying to teach younger ones to read. The next pro of this curriculum is that it encourages reading more challenging passages and also more challenging words. I think that that is very important to challenge students, but at the same time, a con of that can be that for very early readers or for readers who aren't quite confident enough yet, it can be a little bit of a deterrent to reading. It can be a frustration in reading. And so I think you just have to know where your child is at to figure out if that is going to be a good fit for them. You don't want to overwhelm, but you also want to provide a challenge in there at appropriate times. The other thing that I really appreciate about this curriculum is the fact that it does have a very Christian focus. Even the companion books obviously are about creation and other truths about what we believe in Christianity as well, and they are very character building. Next thing that I actually really liked about this curriculum is that I think it's on the 5th day of every unit in this curriculum that they do an activity that is a dictionary activity. At first I thought it was a little weird because it was words that they weren't able to read. However, I actually really enjoyed it, and it is something that I definitely want to carry over in other curriculum that we use. It was just a great way to practice those skills of writing and also getting to draw and make their own dictionary. And also, without them realizing it, they are learning alphabetical order. So it's a neat little activity that is included in this curriculum. Now, this next thing that I'm going to talk about is both a pro, but then it also is kind of a con. Depends on which side of the spectrum that you're on, and whether or not your child falls into one of those categories. So the lessons for this curriculum are relatively short, which can be a pro, because it can mean that you are focusing in on a specific goal for each lesson, but sometimes those lessons are so short and concise that they lack the depth that some students are going to need, and the repetition that some students are going to need in order to have mastery of the phonics skills that are being taught in that lesson. This is what ultimately led to us changing curriculum with my son that was using this. So we got about halfway through this curriculum and it just became very taxing for him, because there wasn't a lot of depth and time spent on mastering those special sounds, different digraphs and blends and things like that. There wasn't a lot of depth and time focused on mastering those. It felt like the curriculum was teaching new special sounds constantly, and while he hadn't mastered the ones that were taught previously, and he was trying to master a new set on top of that. So it became a little bit of an overwhelm. For my son specifically, he is not a lagging reader, but he is not a quick reader either. And I would consider him pretty average, especially for first grade level. And so because of that, I saw him getting a little frustrated sometimes, having a hard time remembering what some of those special digraphs were. And so I just felt like he needed a little bit more depth and opportunity to solidify and to master those different sounds. And so that is why we ultimately switched from this curriculum. However, I could see this curriculum working very well for other children who are swifter learners in reading, that don't need the constant repetition and who pick up on it pretty easily. In fact, my daughter is one of those readers, and while she is not using this curriculum, she's using one that moves a bit swifter though. I could see this curriculum actually working quite well for her, because she doesn't need that constant repetition and mastery opportunity. So again, a con, as I stated, can be that it does move rather swiftly. And in our case, that was a con for us, because it wasn't a great fit for my son, who needed it to be just a little bit slower, a little bit more focused, and to provide a little bit more review and opportunity to really solidify the concepts. So as I stated, this was not exactly a great fit for my son, but I do know that it works very well for others. With the information that I've given, perhaps that can help you in making your decision of whether or not you need to focus more on a more mastery phonics-based program, or be able to use something like this. Now, for my son, we did move on to a different reading curriculum that focuses a lot on mastery of phonics and sight words. It is a lot more teacher intensive, of course, but it is what is working best for him. And again, as I stated at the beginning of the video, that is the most important thing that we can do as mamas and teachers to our children, is to ensure that we are giving them the best curriculum for their specific learning style and needs. I hope that this video was helpful for you guys. I would love to know down in the comments below if you have any questions. Put them down there, and I hope you push that subscribe button, and I will see you all on future videos. Thanks so much for your time, and I hope that this video was helpful for you.